I stayed quiet when he worked late every Friday. But the day I went into labor and he was with my cousin, something snapped. He said, "You should have known better than to expect loyalty." I didn't fight. I just sent a group text with the birth certificate and the DNA results. My cousin collapsed when she read the father's name was actually. Let me take you back. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. Lived here my whole life. Not much goes on, but I always thought that was a good thing. I married a man named Troy in 2018. He worked in logistics, warehouse management mostly. He wasn't rich, but he was solid. Dependable. Or so I thought. I met Troy through my cousin, Natalie. She and I grew up like sisters. My mom raised me after my dad bailed, and her family lived a few houses down. We did everything together: school, summer jobs, vacations. She was the one who introduced me to Troy at a 4th of July cookout. He brought cheap beer and grilled like a pro. We laughed all night. He asked for my number the next day. We were inseparable within a month. Married within a year. People said we were rushing it, but I didn't care. For the first time, I felt chosen. Loved. At first, everything seemed perfect. Troy wasn't flashy, but he showed up. He came to family dinners, helped me repaint the kitchen, took care of me when I had the flu. On our first anniversary, he bought me a necklace with my birthstone. Said he'd never take off his ring. Things changed 2 years into the marriage. That's when the Friday night shifts started. Troy claimed he was covering for a guy at work. Said the company was short-handed and he had to step up if we wanted the Christmas bonus. It made sense. At least, it did the first couple times. But every Friday? 4 months? He'd come home late smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. His shirt would be wrinkled, sometimes even inside out. And he always had some excuse. Stayed for drinks, traffic jam, late delivery. I'd be lying if I said I didn't suspect something. But I was pregnant. And scared. And tired. I told myself not to make waves. Natalie, of all people, was the one I talked to the most about it. She'd swing by with food, help me set up the nursery, rub my back when it got sore. I cried to her once, told her I felt like I was losing him. She said, "Men get weird before the baby comes. He'll be fine once the baby's here." She even joked, "If he's cheating, he's stupid enough to get caught." She laughed when she said it. I laughed too. I didn't know then how twisted that moment would feel later. Fast forward to the night everything fell apart. I was 37 weeks. It was a Thursday night. Troy had promised to be home by 7 to watch a movie. We ordered takeout. I waited. 7 came and went. 8, 9. No answer to my texts. At 10, I went to bed with a tight knot in my stomach. At 3 a.m., I woke up soaked. My water broke. I called Troy first. Straight to voicemail. Called again. And again. I called his work phone. Nothing. Called the emergency cell. No answer. I panicked. My mom was in Ohio helping her sister with surgery. I didn't want to call an ambulance if I didn't have to. I called Natalie. Twice. No answer. I was scared. My belly hurt. I couldn't breathe through the contractions. So I did the only thing I could. I went outside and started banging on my neighbor Lisa's door. She saw me doubled over and rushed me to the hospital without a second thought. I gave birth alone. My son, Mason, was born at 3:42 a.m. Screaming, healthy, perfect. 7 pounds, 10 ounces. Troy never showed up. At 10 a.m., I texted him again. Just wrote, "He's here." No reply. I posted a photo of Mason on Facebook around noon. Just me holding him, eyes tired but proud. The caption was simple, "Welcome to the world, baby boy." That's when things started to unravel. Natalie liked the photo 20 minutes later. Her profile picture updated at the same time. A picture of her in bed, all smiles. Her caption was, "Lazy Sunday with my man smiling face with hearts wineglass. At first, I was confused. Then I looked closer. That bed? The headboard? It was mine. It was the guest room in my own house. The same room she stayed in when she helped out. That's when it all clicked. She wasn't just helping. She was sleeping with my husband. In my house. While I was in labor. That night, Troy finally showed up. He smelled like wine. His shirt was untucked. He walked into the hospital room like he forgot where he was. I didn't cry. I didn't ask questions. I just said, "Where were you?" He didn't even lie. He smirked. That smug little smile I used to find charming. And he said, "You should have known better than to expect loyalty from me." That was it. Something inside me turned cold. I didn't fight. I didn't throw anything. I just nodded. And started planning. I went home from the hospital 3 days later. Alone. My mom came back from Ohio and stayed with me for a while. She didn't ask many questions, but she looked at me different, like she was waiting for me to fall apart. I didn't. I fed my son, changed his diapers, and while he slept, I made calls. I called a lawyer. Told her everything. She said I had enough for a solid divorce case and maybe even something more if I wanted to go after them financially. We started paperwork right away. I also called a lab. Ordered a DNA test kit. Now, I need to be real clear here, I knew Mason was mine and Troy's. At least, I thought I knew. We'd been trying for almost a year before it happened. But a few things weren't adding up. When I was about 7 months pregnant, Troy slipped and said something strange. I'd asked him if we should start thinking about a second baby down the road. He got quiet, then said, "Let's see how this one turns out first." It stuck in my head. The way he said it. Like he was unsure this one was even his. Then I remembered something else. Back when we were dating, Troy had a medical scare. He'd told me it was just a kidney stone. But his mood changed afterward. I later found a paper in our desk drawer. It was from a fertility clinic. The results said azoospermia. That means no sperm. At all. He was sterile. It hit me like a brick. If that test was real, and it sure looked real, then Mason couldn't be his. And Troy knew that. So I sent in the DNA test. I also pulled out an old notebook I kept during college. Inside were names and dates, old memories, boyfriends, random hookups I hadn't thought about in years. There was only one person who made sense. David Renshaw. He and I had a messy thing back in 2017. It only lasted a couple months, but he was good to me. And yeah, he's also Natalie's ex. The one she cheated on with some guy from her gym. We hadn't talked in years, but I still had his number saved. So I called him. He picked up. "Hey, this is weird," I said. "But do you have a minute?" I explained the whole thing. Everything. From the cheating to the birth to the DNA test. He was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, "What do you need from me?" I told him I needed his DNA. He didn't hesitate. "Send the kit." I did. 3 weeks later, I had results in my hands. David Renshaw, 99.98% match. My baby's father. My heart was pounding. Not because I had feelings for David. I didn't. Not anymore. But because I now had the truth. A truth that shattered what little image Troy and Natalie had left. That night, I sent a group text. I included Troy, Natalie, my mom, my aunt, Natalie's mom, Troy's parents, every cousin and sibling that had ever asked for baby updates, even Natalie's new boyfriend. Yes, she had one on the side, the text said. Since some people like secrets, I thought I'd share a few. Attached is Mason's birth certificate and DNA results. Turns out Troy isn't the father. Never was. Natalie, you might want to sit down for this part. The father is David Renshaw. Small world, huh? I attached a PDF with the results and a photo of David holding Mason from a few days ago when he came by to meet him. I hit send and turned off my phone. But I could still hear the fallout. My mom's phone blew up first. Then Lisa came over to say she saw Natalie on her porch, screaming and crying. She was on her knees, begging someone on the phone to answer. Troy didn't answer her. He packed his things and left the next morning. Apparently, he tried to move in with his parents, but they refused. Said they were embarrassed by what he did. Natalie had a full breakdown. Her boyfriend dumped her. Her mom found out she'd been stealing money from her while staying with her temporarily. She had nowhere to go. And me? I was just getting started. A week after the group text, my phone rang. It was David. I think we should talk, he said. I agreed. We met at a little diner on the edge of town, the kind of place where people don't ask questions. He looked nervous, but not angry. I need to ask, he said. Are you expecting anything from me? Money, custody, something? I shook my head. I'm not coming after you. I didn't even know until last month. I needed to know the truth. He nodded. Then he said something I didn't expect. I want to be in his life. If you'll let me. I stared at him. I wasn't ready for that. I'd been running on revenge and anger for so long, I didn't think about what came next. But deep down, I knew he meant it. David was trying to do the right thing. Something Troy never did. I told him we'd take it slow. Start with visits. No legal stuff yet. Meanwhile, Troy had been quiet. Too quiet. One morning, I got a call from his old job. The manager wanted to know if I'd seen him. Apparently, he hadn't shown up for 2 weeks. I told them no. That we were separated. The manager sighed. Said Troy had been acting strange and they were close to firing him before he vanished. Then I found out Natalie had been calling David. A lot. He showed me the messages. At first, it was just begging, please talk to me, I didn't know, you were the only one I ever loved. Then it turned nasty. I gave you the best years of my life. You think she's any better than me? You're a joke, David. I blocked her number on his phone while he watched. Things got weirder. One night, someone knocked on my door at 2 a.m. I looked through the peephole. No one was there. But when I opened the door, there was a package. Inside was a stuffed bunny. The same one Natalie and I shared as kids. Ripped in half. A note attached, you took everything from me. I called the police. Filed a report. They couldn't do much without video or proof it was her. But I knew. That handwriting was hers. David offered to install cameras around my house. He came over the next day with a friend and set them up. That night, I finally slept a little easier. A few days later, the cameras caught someone lurking near the back fence. Hoodie, jeans, limping slightly. It was Troy. He stood there for 20 minutes. Just watching the house. Then he walked away. I sent the footage to the cops. They visited his last known address. Turns out he wasn't living anywhere. He'd been crashing in his truck. Drinking heavy. Lost his job, burned through his savings, and had nowhere else to go. The officer asked if I wanted to press charges. I said yes. But that wasn't the twist. The real twist came 2 days later when I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a plain envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A bank statement. But not mine. It was Troy's. It showed a $7,000 withdrawal made 2 months before I gave birth. Labeled emergency transfer. I remembered that money. Troy said it was to fix his truck. Turns out, it went straight to Natalie's account. She used it to pay off credit cards, old rent, and a spa weekend with her boyfriend. Troy had been played. Not just by me. By her. He lost everything for her. And she tossed him aside the second things got hard. Now they were both broken. And I was just getting started. The day of the court hearing came fast. I'd filed for full custody, divorce, and a restraining order. Troy didn't even try to fight it. He showed up looking like he hadn't slept in weeks, hair messy, clothes wrinkled, face pale. When the judge asked if he wanted to contest anything, he just shook his head and muttered, "No." After it was over, I walked past him in the hallway. He didn't even look at me. But Natalie did. She was waiting outside the courtroom. Eyes red, face swollen. She looked at me like she wanted to speak, but she didn't. I stopped for a second. Just enough to say, "You picked him. Now live with him." I left her standing there. That should have been enough. But it wasn't. A month later, I got a call from David's job. He hadn't shown up for 3 days. No calls. No answers. I panicked. Called his phone. Nothing. I drove to his apartment. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the place was trashed. Drawers pulled out, papers everywhere, couch cushions slashed. But David wasn't there. My heart was pounding. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I called the police immediately. They found him 2 hours later. Tied up in an old storage unit on the edge of town. Beaten. Bruised. Alive, but barely. And guess who they caught trying to flee the scene? Natalie. She broke down the second they put her in cuffs. Screamed about how I ruined everything, how I turned him against her, how I stole her life. She was charged with assault, unlawful imprisonment, and burglary. She's facing time. Real time. And here's the part one haven't told anyone, not even my mom. I knew she was spiraling. I knew she was dangerous. But I didn't warn David. I saw her parked outside his building a week earlier. Just sitting in her car. Staring up at his window. I didn't say anything. Maybe a part of me wanted her to snap. To show the world how messed up she really was. That's on me. I could have stopped it. David forgave me, eventually. Said he understood. But I still see the look in his eyes when he talks about those hours in the storage unit. And Troy? Last I heard, he moved 3 towns over. Works odd jobs. Sleeps in a motel off the highway. No one visits. His parents cut him off. Natalie's family won't speak her name. And me? I'm doing okay. I have full custody. Mason's walking now. David sees him every weekend. He's not trying to be a replacement dad, but he shows up. I sold the house. Too many ghosts. Got a smaller place, closer to work, near better schools. I still have bad days. Still catch myself wondering how I didn't see it sooner. How I let my own cousin lie to my face for so long. How I let Troy use me. But then I hold my son, and I remember, they lost everything. I lost my illusions. That's not the same thing. And if you're wondering if I regret any of it, no. Not even for a second. Because sometimes the best revenge is just surviving the storm they swore would destroy you.